Hello guys, I'm Pickles Parker, and today I will be reviewing some Big Finish. The Destination Wars from the First Doctor Adventures, Volume 1, featuring David Bradley, Claudia Grant, Jamie Glover, and Jemma Powell as the First Doctor, Susan, Ian, and Barbara. Enjoy. So yes, the First Doctor Adventures Volume 1. Now, after I finished the 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 2, I wasn't quite sure what to go into next. And I really thought about this release, and it appealed to me, because it had a connection to the new series with David Bradley as the First Doctor, as he appeared in Twice Upon a Time, but also that connection to the classic series and the First Doctor era, which I haven't really explored too much myself when delving into classic Who. I attempted to favour more to the 70s and 80s episodes, just because I think the longer stories that I don't always have the time to listen to, to watch, longer like 8-part stories, and also the black and white effects sometimes put me off. I sometimes find it harder to watch, and yeah, I think that sometimes puts me off watching 62. So this is a really good box set for me to listen to after the 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 2. I did actually, as a starting point after the 10th Doctor Adventures, favour the 4th Doctor Adventures Series 7 Volume 1 because my favourite classic Doctor is Tom Baker, and there were more stories in there, so I thought I'll get that first. Then after listening to the 4th Doctor Adventures, I seen that this was surprisingly still at the pre-order price, and I snatched it up. Yes, the First Doctor Adventures Volume 1. This is a very good box set. One thing I'll say is that it features David Bradley as the First Doctor, like in Twice Upon a Time. However, the writing's much better here for his Doctor. I'd say that he is not presented as a sexist in any of the stories in here, and he just feels like the First Doctor, but not played by Hartnell. And he's a very good Doctor in this, in the whole of this box set, especially in this story, the Destination Wars. I'll get into that more later. But yeah, he's not a sexist in this, so don't be worrying that if you go in here thinking, oh, we're just going to get that sexist Doctor that we got in Twice Upon a Time, because there's no instance of sexism in this at all. And the stories are very good. They generally feel like 60s stories, and I think the decision to make it 2-hour stories rather 4 1-hour stories was better, because it suits more of the 60s format of longer stories. And like I said in my Serpent in the Silver Mask review, I'm not sure if that will be going up after this or before this, depending on which is easier to edit first. But like I said on that, I generally prefer the 2-hour format because you get better quality of stories, not this, the 1-hour format, which is still very good, but the 2-hour format, I think you get a better quality of stories, and I think they both suit these two stories well, and I don't think either of them could be cut down to 1-hour stories. Yeah, it fits in well with the 60s period, and it's a very exciting box set featuring the return of David Bradley, who obviously appeared as the First Doctor in Twice Upon a Time and portrayed Hartnell in the amazing biopic An Adventure in Space and Time. Then you also got the return of the original TARDIS team, who all played by the same people who play them in an adventure in space and time. And it is a bit obvious that they're not the same people, but I think they all play it well. I'll get into them individually when I do the cast of this story. But yeah, also we have James Dreyfus as I think it's the original incarnation of the Master. I could be wrong, but it's definitely a previous incarnation that we haven't seen before, pre-Roger Delgado. So yeah, it's all very exciting. So it's a very exciting release just on face value, and it is going to expand into future First Doctor Adventures box sets to come, with the Volume 2 being set to come in July. But that's enough of me ranting on. Let's take a look. So here we have the packaging, and this is actually really nice. It comes in the same CD case that comes with most Big Finish releases, with the Doctor Who logo, First Doctor Adventures Volume 1, and the 2 stories, The Destination Wars and The Great White Hurricane. Then we have the First Doctor, David Bradley in the front, with Ian, Barbara and Susan there, with James Dreyfus's Master there in a costume rather similar to John Sims' Master in World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls. Then we have this very nice background of the destination city. Then we have New York from the Great White Hurricane. We have the TARDIS there. Then we have a bit of the roundels from the TARDIS interior. Then we get this very nice blue version of the original title sequence. Turning to the side, it has the same image of the First Doctor there with the Doctor Who logo, and things on the other side we have the CDs within there, and on the back we just get the same information with a bit of a bio on each stories, and directed by Nicholas Briggs. So yeah, very nice choice of displaying the content. I really like the artwork on the front of the sleeve. Going on to the stories that are contained in the First Doctor Adventures Volume 1, we have The Destination Wars and The Great White Hurricane. Each CD features the standard Big Finish strip with the title of the story, and the cast and the writer, with the image of David Bradley there, with the background being the original First Doctor title sequence, and then the artwork there with brand new adventures and forecast audio drama. Each spine features the First Doctor there with Doctor Who on whatever story it is, and 1 point whatever number the story is. Each the back of the store of the CD features the bio of the story and the cast with some company information, and the same image at the top that's featured on the sleeve for the box set. And inside each CD we have the swappable variant cover, which is more era appropriate, featuring the Doctor Who logo associated with the First Doctor era, and more era appropriate text. And as this one is set in the 60s, it is in black and white. And then we have the disc, which just has the same artwork from the front of the disc. And as these stories are two parts, we have 2 discs with an advertisement for another release in the Destination Wars. It's the War Master Only the Good box set, whereas in the Great White Hurricane is the 4th Doctor Adventures Series 7 Volume 1, which I have, of course, reviewing as well alongside this. Something that I was unaware with, that hasn't come with the 2 other box sets that I've reviewed previous, the 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 2 and the 4th Doctor Adventures Series 7 Volume 1, is that this box set comes with a bonus disc with behind the scenes special features, so that's rather nice as well. Overall, for the packaging, I really like it. I think the design on the sleeve is really nice and really incorporates elements from all of the stories, and I really like the design of the newer strips for the CDs, and I really like the artwork on those CDs. Worth noticing that the cardboard on this sleeve is much better than the cardboard on the 4th Doctor Adventures sleeve, so it seems that that was just a one-off. But yeah, the packaging's really nice. But let's get on to the review of the Destination Wars. The Destination Wars. Now, just going on to the plot, Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Susan land on a planet called Destination, which is 2003 years since they left their home planet and set across the stars to this planet Destination. And they've been helped by their precious inventor, who has invented everything for them and keeps them safe from the Delmari, who was the original inhabitants of Destination before they were kicked out by the humans. But sometimes they try and break in, but the inventor always keeps them safe. But he's been gone, and he is coming back. And the Doctor and co stay with this family, and the daughter of the family, Rena, is very excited to see the inventor. However, we soon find out that the inventor is none other than the Master. The Master crash landed on Destination and just has been trying to cause wars between the humans and the Delmari, because we soon find out that it is the Master sending his servers to attack the Delmari, and it's not really the humans. So the Doctor and co are then transported to the future, where there's a big war, hence the title, The Destination Wars. But the Doctor soon explains to them all that servers and not each other, and they soon learn to bond. And the Master tries to steal the TARDIS and can't pilot it, and is ultimately returned to Destination and is locked inside his console room forever. So the Doctor then decides to watch over the rebuilding for 2 years, whilst Ian, Barbara and Susan and Rena will stay in their own little time capsules, and then enter 2 years after, when peace is on Destination. The thing I really like about this story is just all round it's very pleasant listen. I think that there's really nice world building with this, that the world of Destination is given some time. I really like the mystery surrounding, is it 2003 or is it not, and that kind of thing. Is it on Earth, is it not? I think that's a very nice mystery. I think the characters we all get introduced to, especially Rena, are all really nice, and I think they have very good chemistry with the TARDIS team. I think that all works really well, and I think that it's a really nice world that Matt Fitton has created. We have the whole Delmari conflict, which has been done before, has been done in Doctor Who before. The inhabitants are having a war with the humans, and yes, it has been done before in stories such as the Happiness Patrol, but it's done very well here. I'd say that for the first start of the story, it's taken a back seat before then ultimately in part 4 taking more of a central role. But yeah, I think the Delmari are a bit underused. We don't really learn too much about them, so maybe that could have been expanded on a bit. But I think the world that we're given of Destination and the characters we're introduced to are really good, and the technology is really nice as well. I especially like Rena and Susan's relationship, with the family and all the TARDIS crew's relationships are really nice. The characters we're introduced to is really good. I really like how the Master is written in this one. Obviously it's our original incarnation, and he's just really, really good. James Dreyfus plays it superbly. He's really manipulative. I think he fits into his story really well. I think that he's ultimately the person pulling the strings of a greater conflict, so he's not necessarily he is the main villain, but he's not necessarily the main threat. He's the main villain, but he's not the main threat, because the main threat is the Delmari, then the war, but he's the one sitting above, pulling the strings, which I think is really nice for the Master to be, because I think that has been played with a lot more, especially in the new series, but I've never really liked that, especially with Missy, because I just think that in Dark Water, Death in Heaven, that she may have been pulling the strings, yes, but her henchmen, what she is actually pulling too, felt incredibly underused, whereas this works really well with the Master not necessarily being the main threat, and he's just the one above. A great story, very, very good. I think you're totally invested in it, and although it's 2 hours, not once do you ever feel it dragging. Not one part doesn't need to be there. I think it flows very nicely, and it gives twists and turns that you wouldn't have expected. For example, them skipping ahead in time and things like that. I think are twists that you wouldn't really see coming, but I think they ultimately offer good things to the story. You could see it's a bit of a cop-out, just skipping from one time to the other so it doesn't play out, but it does actually flow really well, and it does actually work very nicely. I think the ideas Matt Fitton used, I think all flow really nicely. They all work. Since Matt Fitton used, he had a lot of variety of different ingredients, but they still baked a very nice cake. It was really good, and I really enjoyed this story. Cast with David Bradley as the First Doctor, and as I said before, you don't get any of the sexist nonsense that you get in Twice Upon a Time. You just get David Bradley playing the First Doctor, and he's very, 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 very good. He plays a superb Hartnell, a superb First Doctor. He definitely has all the mannerisms there, and I think Bradley's performance is brilliant. I really like in this story how the First Doctor is written as well, because you do, he generally feels very much like a Doctor of the future, such as possibly the 5th Doctor, or maybe the 11th Doctor, in his, ways that he's trying to help, like he's trying to help conflict between the Delmari and the humans, which I think Bradley plays superbly. It's just those little instances of Hartnell where he's not a grumpy man. I think that's happened in the TV show, but they've carried it on to here. I think it was a really nice instance, and it also gives you an insight into how he has those moments like that, and then they gradually fill in and become more common throughout his later incarnations. But you do also get that kind of early First Doctor. They don't just instantly change the characterization of the First Doctor in here and differentiate it from the TV show. You do have the things where he is thinking about himself, like in the climax of the story when he wants to just not oversee time. He wants to just get in and advance 50 years to see if he can get home. He doesn't really care about the people he's thinking about himself. Which is nice but then after talking to Susan, he does something very heroic, and he stays on destination for 2 years and lets Susan skip ahead, which I think something in the new series, if you look at episodes such as The Eaters of Light, the Doctor was going to sacrifice himself and ultimately didn't. It's a cop-out for softer news. But this, the Doctor says he's going to stay for 2 years. He stays for 2 years. And I think it's very heroic what the First Doctor does in this story. I think he's written very well. Matt Fitton definitely knows the characterization a bit more than Stephen Moffat did. And the First Doctor is very good, and David Bradley is still on top form, and he has the writing to match his performance in this one. Unlike Twice Upon a Time, where his performance was good, but the writing was bog standard. But here, all good from Bradley. We have Claudia Grant, who played Susan. Now she's I think that Susan, she has a very nice chemistry with Rena, and some good interactions there. I think she's very good, but I think in this and very much for a lot of the Boxer, I think she's a bit OTT, enhances Susan's main tropes, and in some parts she can get a bit annoying, like I'd say in the first part when she's like, oh Rena, I really don't know what you mean, what on earth is going on, I wonder. And she does get a bit annoying, but I think throughout the whole other part of the story as it progresses, she gets much better. So that was all good. Susan's good, the writing's good for her, but I think Claudia Grant sometimes goes a bit over the top with her portrayal of Susan. But Earth is still good, and especially with her interactions with Rena and Bradley's first Doctor. Jamie Glover, who plays Interesting, I think it's very good. You definitely see that he's tried to match William Russell's portrayal from the original series. There are some bits where he's a bit more aggressive, a bit more rude, especially in the first part of the story. But I think he's very good, and he definitely has a good relationship with Jemma Powell as Barbara. And I think he's very good. He has good chemistry with Bradley's first Doctor. Jemma Powell, who plays Barbara, and I think she's probably the most spot on out of the companions to their actual counterparts. I think she's very much like Jacqueline Hill, who played Barbara in the original series, and I think she is the most like it. She's good again, she gets a few nice moments. I'd say she might be the most sidelined, and she probably has the least amount to do of all of the companions, but she nevertheless is very good. James Dreyfus is the Master, and honestly he is superb. I think the Master in this is very manipulative, and he's very serious, and instantly his voice makes you instantly want to listen, instantly gets your focus. And I think he does it all in a single voice. I think that his voice is probably the best voice of a Master, because it's very booming, kind of commanding, and I think he says it all in the voice. His interaction with David Bradley are good. I think they could have been better, but I don't really think he has that much with David Bradley to do. I think it's more interactions with Ian and Susan, which you may think the first encounter continuity-wise between the Master and the Doctor on screen. Sure, you want them to be more interactions. Yes, I think there would, but I think that might be saved for a future box set, as the Master isn't necessarily the focus of the latter parts or the earlier parts. I think he's pulling the strings a bit, but more of what he actually does is more of the threat than the Master himself. But I think James Dreyfus portrays it really well, and I think that the more I hear of him, the more he'll probably creep up that favourite Master's list, because he definitely gives you a good first impression. Yes. Overall, what do I think the destination was? It is really, really good. I love this story. The world building is fantastic. The characters we get introduced to are brilliant. David Bradley is on form as the first Doctor, as are all the original TARDIS team. Despite being recast, they all do a perfect job. Along with Bradley, James Dreyfus is the Master. His voice says it all. He's really good as the Master, and I think the plot is really strong. Really good writing from Matt Fitton, and sustains that 2 hours, and you can't stop listening. I was really sad when it's over, actually, because I just wanted to hear more and more of this story. It blends really nice sci-fi elements together, and overall I really liked it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, my highest rated Big Finish story that I've listened to date. I just really enjoyed this, and I couldn't stop listening. Please like this video if you have enjoyed it, and if you want to see more content from my channel, then please hit subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and of course, goodbye. Hello, Garen Adams. So, Asylum of the Daleks. I always feel that this episode gets too much hate than it deserves. Maybe that's because it was the first series opener I watched on broadcast, with me joining at the end of series 6. Sure, the Amy and Rory divorce crap is completely unneeded, and the classic Daleks are wasted, yet I love the concept behind the Dalek Asylum. Matt Smith is brilliant as always, and Jenna gives a good performance as Oswin, although I find the character annoying. Although the Daleks forgetting the Doctor is pointless, I love the very end scene when the Doctor in the TARDIS shouts, "Doctor Who?" Overall, a flawed yet enjoyable and slightly nostalgic story for me. I give Asylum of the Daleks a 7 out of 10.